Hello, my second grade friends. I hope you're all doing well. I had decided that I wanted to continue to read Pippi Longstocking with you. This is not a requirement. This is just something extra if you want to hear about Pippi's adventures and get to have a little bit of a story time, kind of like we did on Wednesday, our Wednesday in-class lunch. And I really miss all of you, and I miss reading Pippi with you. So, can anyone remember where we left off? So just like we do sometimes with our videos, we pause and we think about where we left off and we try to answer it. You could do that right now. If you just want to continue and not pause it, I totally understand. So Pippi was having a conversation with Tommy and Annika about going to school. And Tommy and Annika were trying to convince her to go to school. As you know, there are not a lot of pictures with this book. You remember our book. But when there are pictures, I will be sure to show them to you. Okay? Okay. Let's see. We left off on chapter 4. Pippi goes to school. In 4 months, it will be Christmas, and then you'll have a holiday. But what about me? What do I get? Pippi sounded sad. No Christmas holidays? Not even a little Christmas holiday? She complained. Something has to change. Tomorrow, I'm going to start school. Tommy and Annika clapped their hands with glee. Hooray! Then we'll wait for you outside our front gate at 8 o'clock. Oh, no, said Pippi. I can't start that early. And besides, I'm probably going to ride to school. And she did. At exactly 10 o'clock the following day, she lifted her horse down from the porch. A short time later, everyone in the little town dashed to the windows to see the horse that had bolted. Or rather, they thought it had bolted. But it hadn't. It was only Pippi, who was in a bit of a hurry to get to school. At full gallop, she raced into the playground, leapt off the horse before he even stopped, and tied him to a tree. Then she flung open the door to the classroom with such a bang that Tommy and Annika and all their nice classmates gave a start as they sat at their desks. Hey, everybody, hollered Pippi, swinging her big hat. Am I in time for pultification? Tommy and Annika had told their teacher that a new girl named Pippi Longstocking was going to be coming. Their teacher had also heard people in the little town talking about Pippi. And because she was a very kind and pleasant teacher, she had decided to do everything she could to make Pippi feel welcome at school. Pippi flung herself down on an empty chair before anyone even invited her to do so. But the teacher paid no attention to her brash behavior. She merely said in a very friendly voice, "Welcome to school, Pippi. I hope that you'll be happy here and that you'll learn a great deal." "Yes, well, I hope that I'll get a Christmas holiday," said Pippi. "That's why I've come here. Fair's fair, above all else. First, if you wouldn't mind giving me your full name," said the teacher. "Then I can register you at school." "My name is Pippi Loda, Constable's Window Shade Curly Mint, Ephraim's daughter Longstocking, the daughter of Captain Ephraim Longstocking, formerly the terror of the high seas, now king of the natives. Pippi is really just a nickname because Papa thought that Pippi Loda was too long to say." "I see," said the teacher. "All right then, we'll call you Pippi too. But perhaps we should test your knowledge a bit," she went on. "You're a big girl, and I'm sure you already know quite a lot. Perhaps we could start with arithmetic. Now, Pippi, tell me, how much is 7 plus 5? looked at her, both surprised and annoyed. Then she said, "If you don't know the answer yourself, I have no intention of telling you." All the children stared at Pippi in horror. The teacher explained to her that she wasn't allowed to talk back to teachers that way at school, and she was supposed to address the teacher as Miss. "Please forgive me," apologized Pippi. "I didn't know that. I won't do it again." "Well, I hope not," said the teacher. "So now I'll tell you that 7 plus 5 equals 12. "You see," said Pippi, "you knew it all along. Why did you have to ask me? Oh, what an idiot I am. I forgot to say Miss again. Sorry," she said, and then she pinched herself hard on the ear. The teacher decided to ignore this. She went on. "All right, Pippi, how much do you think 8 plus 4 is?" "About 67 or so," Pippi guessed. "Not at all," said the teacher. 8 plus 4 equals 12. "Now, wait a minute, my dear lady. That's going too far," said Pippi. "You just told me that 7 plus 5 equals 12. I should think there have to be some rules, even in a school. Besides, if you get such childish delight out of silly things like this, why don't you go and sit by yourself in the corner to do arithmetic and leave us in peace so we can play tag?" "Oh, no, I forgot to say Miss again," she cried in horror. "Could you please forgive me just one last time? I'll try to remember a little better from now on." The teacher agreed to do this, but she didn't think it was such a good idea to try teaching Pippi any more arithmetic. Instead, she started asking the other children questions. "Tommy, can you give me the correct answer to this problem?" she said. "If Lisa has 7 apples and Axel has 9, how many apples do they have altogether?" "Yes, let's hear your answer, Tommy," Pippi piped in. "And at the same time, tell me this. If Lisa has a stomachache and Axel has an even worse stomachache, whose fault is it? And where did they swipe those apples from?" The teacher tried to pretend that she hadn't heard a thing, and she turned to Annika. "All right, Annika, here's a problem for you. Gustav went on a school outing with his classmates. He had 1 krona. When he left a 7 öre, he came home. How much money did he spend?" "Hey," said Pippi, "I also want to know. Why was he such a spendthrift? And did he buy lemonade with his money? And did he wash behind his ears properly before he left home?" The teacher decided to give up on arithmetic altogether. She thought Pippi might like learning to read instead. So she took out a sweet little picture of an iguana. In front of the iguana's nose was the letter I. "All right, Pippi, now I'm going to show you something fun," she said briskly. "Here you see an iguana, and this letter in front is an I." "Oh, no, I don't think so," said Pippi. "I think that looks like a stick with a little fly speck on top. And I'd really like to know what an iguana has to do with a fly speck." The teacher took out the next picture, which showed a snake. And she told Pippi that the letter in front was an S. "Speaking of snakes," said Pippi, "I'll never forget the time that I wrestled with a giant snake in India. It was the most horrible snake you could imagine. He was 14 meters long and angry as a hornet. And every day he ate 5 grown Indians plus 2 little children for dessert. Once he wanted to have me for dessert too, and he wrapped himself around me, crunch, But I have sailed the 7 seas after all, I told him, and I bonked him on the head. Bam! And then he started hissing. So I hit him again. Bam! And poof! He died. So that's the letter S. How amazing! Pippi had to pause to catch her breath, and the teacher, who was beginning to think that Pippi was a troublesome and difficult child, suggested that the class should do some drawing instead. Surely Pippi would be able to sit quietly and draw, thought the teacher. She took out paper and pens and passed them out to the children. You can draw whatever you like, she said, as she sat down at her desk and started correcting homework. After a while, she looked up to see how the drawing was going. All the children were sitting there, watching Pippi, who was lying on the floor, drawing to her heart's content. Pippi, said the teacher impatiently, why aren't you drawing on the piece of paper? I filled it up long ago. I couldn't get my horse on that tiny scrap of paper, said Pippi. Right now, I'm drawing his front legs, but when I get to the tail, I'll probably have to go out to the corridor. The teacher thought hard for a moment. Why don't we sing a little song instead, she suggested. And all the children stood up next to their desks, all except Pippi, who was still lying on the floor. Oh, go ahead and sing, she said. I'll just rest here for a while. All this learning can be too much for even the strongest person. But now the teacher had lost all patience. She told the other children to go out to the playground because she wanted to have a private conversation with Pippi. When the teacher and Pippi were alone, Pippi stood up and went over to the desk. You know what, she said. You know what, miss? It was really fun to come here and see what all of you do, but I don't think I feel like coming to school anymore. I'll just have to make do without a Christmas holiday. There are just too many apples and iguanas and snakes and things like that. It makes my head spin. I hope you're not disappointed, miss. But the teacher said that she did feel disappointed, mainly because Pippi didn't want to try to behave properly, and because a girl who behaved the way Pippi did couldn't be allowed to come to school, no matter how much she might want to. Have I behaved badly? Asked Pippi, very surprised. Oh, and I didn't even know it, she said, looking woeful. Nobody could look as woeful as Pippi when she was sad. She was silent for a moment, and then she said in a quivering voice, You have to understand, miss, that if a girl's mama is an angel and her papa is king of the natives, and if she herself has spent her whole life sailing the seas, then she doesn't really know how to behave at school among all these apples and iguanas. Then the teacher said that she understood, and that she wasn't annoyed at Pippi anymore, and that perhaps Pippi could come back to school when she was a little older. And then Pippi, beaming with joy, said, I think you're awfully nice, miss. And here's something for you. From her pocket, Pippi took out an elegant little gold watch, which she placed on the desk. The teacher said that she couldn't accept such an expensive gift. But Pippi said, You have to. Otherwise, I'll come back tomorrow, and then there will really be a commotion. After that, Pippi dashed out to the playground and leapt onto her horse. All the children crowded around her to pat the horse and see her off. Give me the schools in Argentina anytime, said Pippi, sounding a bit haughty as she looked down at the children. You should try going there. All right, friends. Well, we have 2 more pages before we get to chapter 5, and we'll take a break then. The Easter holiday starts only 3 days after the Christmas holiday ends. And when the Easter holiday is over, there are 3 days until the summer holiday starts. Just making sure I didn't skip a page. Nope, I did not. Okay. The summer holiday ends on the 1st of November. But then, of course, it's quite a while before the Christmas holiday starts on November 11th. But it's bearable because at least there's no homework. It's strictly forbidden to do homework in Argentina. Oh, that's what happens in Argentina. Oh, sometimes an Argentinian boy might sneak into a cupboard and sit there and secretly do homework, but I feel sorry for him when his mother finds out. They don't have any arithmetic in the schools there. If anyone knows how much 7 plus 5 is, and if he's silly enough to mention it to the teacher, he has to stand in the corner all day. Reading is something they do only on Fridays, and then only if they have some books to read. But they never do. Well, what do they do at school then? Asked the little boy. Oh, they eat sweets, said Pippi firmly. There's a long pipe that goes from the nearby sweet factory straight to the classroom, and sweets come gushing out all day long, so the kids can hardly keep up with eating them. But what does the teacher do? Asked a girl. She unwraps the sweets for the children, silly, said Pippi. You don't really think they do that for themselves, do you? Hardly. And they don't actually go to school themselves either. They send their brothers. Pippi swung her big hat. Bye now, kids, she shouted happily. You won't be seeing me for a while. But don't you ever forget how many apples Axel had, or you'll be sorry. Ha ha ha. With a resounding laugh, Pippi rode out through the gate, making the gravel fly under the horse's hooves and rattling the window panes of the school. Chapter 5 is called Pippi Sits on the Gate and Climbs the Tree. And that will be the next time we meet. I miss you all so much. I'll see you soon.